Summary of the poem Storm on the Island by Seamus Heaney. Seamus Heaney's poem Storm on the Island vividly portrays the power of nature and humanity's vulnerability in the face of its overwhelming force. Through its vivid imagery, conversational tone, and controlled structure, the poem explores themes of isolation, fear, and the unrelenting power of the natural world. The poem also subtly reflects on human resilience and the psychological impact of facing something that cannot be controlled. The speaker begins by describing how the inhabitants of an isolated, storm-swept island prepare for the onslaught of storms. Their houses are squat and sturdy, built to withstand the fierce winds and the absence of natural shelter. This pragmatic preparation reflects human ingenuity and determination to survive in a harsh environment. However, it also emphasizes the barrenness of the setting, where there are no trees or haystacks, symbols of fertility and life, to provide comfort or solace. The lack of such elements underscores the isolation of the island and its inhabitants, who are left exposed to the elements. Heaney's use of rhythm and meter is subtle and conversational. The poem is written in unrhymed iambic pentameter, a meter that mirrors natural speech patterns. This choice enhances the poem's tone of everyday realism, making the speaker's observations feel immediate and relatable. The lack of rhyme contributes to the sense of unpredictability and tension, mirroring the chaos of the storm. Structurally, the poem is composed of a single stanza, creating a compact and concentrated effect. This unbroken block of text mirrors the relentlessness of the storm and the constant pressure it exerts on the islanders. The enjambment between lines further conveys the unstoppable force of nature, as the lines flow into one another, much like the wind and sea battering the land without pause. The poem also delves into the theme of fear, not just of the physical storm but of the intangible, overwhelming power it represents. The sea, initially personified as a potential company, turns violent, with its spray described as a tame cat/turned savage. This metaphor encapsulates the unpredictable and dual nature of the natural world, both familiar and threatening. The imagery of the wind diving and strafing evokes a sense of war and attack, likening the storm to an invisible enemy. This comparison highlights the psychological impact of facing an adversary that cannot be seen or reasoned with. In the final lines, Heaney captures the paradoxical nature of the storm. Despite its ferocity, it is described as a huge nothing that we fear. This phrase encapsulates the poem's central tension. The storm's power lies not only in its physical impact but in the fear it inspires. The nothingness of the storm, a force made up of intangible elements like wind and air, emphasizes its eerie and uncontrollable nature. This reflection broadens the poem's meaning, suggesting that much of what we fear in life is shaped by our perception and the psychological weight we assign to it. Ultimately, Storm on the Island is a meditation on humanity's frailty and resilience in the face of natural and existential forces. Through its rhythm, structure, and vivid language, the poem evokes the relentless power of the storm while exploring the deep psychological impact it has on those who endure it.
Line-by-line explanation of the poem Storm on the Island by Seamus Heaney.
Line 1. We are prepared, we build our houses squat. The poem opens with a tone of resilience and readiness. The speaker asserts that the community is well prepared for the harsh storms they regularly face. Their houses are described as squat, emphasizing their low and sturdy design, which makes them resistant to strong winds. This line introduces the theme of human adaptation to the natural environment. Line 2. Sink walls in rock and roof them with good slate. This line elaborates on the measures taken to ensure survival. By anchoring walls in the solid rock and using durable slate for roofing, the inhabitants demonstrate their practical and deliberate efforts to protect themselves. This focus on physical preparation reflects the harsh realities of living in an exposed, storm-prone environment. Line 3. This wizened earth has never troubled us. The wizened earth is personified as aged and dry, indicating the land's barrenness. Despite its infertility, the earth does not cause trouble for the islanders because they have adapted to its challenges. The tone suggests acceptance of the land's limitations. Line 4, with hay, so, as you see, there are no stacks. The speaker notes the absence of haystacks, which might otherwise be vulnerable to the storm's force. The lack of agriculture is presented as an advantage, as it means there is less to lose during a storm. This reflects the practicality of the islanders in adapting to their environment. Line 5, or stooks that can be lost. Nor are there trees. Similarly, there are no stooks, bundles of grain, or trees, further emphasizing the sparseness of the landscape. The absence of these elements adds to the impression of a bleak, windswept island, devoid of features that could be destroyed by storms. Line 6, which might prove company when it blows full. Here, the speaker reflects on the loneliness of the island. Trees might have offered companionship or a sense of connection to nature, but their absence leaves the inhabitants feeling even more isolated during storms. Line 7, blast, you know what I mean, leaves and branches. The speaker directly addresses the reader with a conversational tone, describing how leaves and branches could intensify the drama of a storm. This direct engagement helps the reader visualize the scene. Line 8, can raise a tragic chorus in a gale. The noise of the wind howling through trees is likened to a tragic chorus, personifying nature as theatrical and foreboding. This image captures the haunting, almost mournful sound of the storm, amplifying the atmosphere of fear. Line 9, so that you listen to the thing you fear. The sound of the storm becomes inescapable, forcing the listener to confront their fear directly. This line emphasizes the psychological impact of the storm, which is as significant as its physical destruction. Line 10, forgetting that it pummels your house too. The speaker notes how fear can distract from the immediate reality. While the storm's sound dominates their attention, the actual damage to their homes goes unnoticed in the moment, highlighting the power of perception. Line 11, but there are no trees, no natural shelter. The repetition of no trees reinforces the starkness of the environment. Without natural barriers, the community is entirely exposed to the storm's force, emphasizing their vulnerability. Line 12, you might think that the sea is company. Initially, the sea is presented as a potential source of comfort or companionship, offering a sense of familiarity and constancy in the barren landscape. Line 13, exploding comfortably down on the cliffs. The sea is described paradoxically as both exploding and comfortably. This juxtaposition reflects its dual nature, powerful yet rhythmically predictable. The waves crashing against the cliffs might seem reassuring, but their force is undeniable. Line 14, but no, when it begins, the flung spray hits. The speaker rejects the idea of the sea as comforting, instead portraying it as aggressive. The wave's spray becomes a physical assault, breaking the illusion of the sea as a passive presence. Line 15, the very windows spits like a tame cat. The spray is likened to a tame cat turned savage, capturing the unpredictability and sudden ferocity of nature. This simile emphasizes the transformation of something seemingly harmless into a threat. Line 16, turned savage. We just sit tight while wind dives. The community's only option is to endure, as they cannot fight against the storm. The wind is personified as diving, evoking an image of purposeful, violent attack. Line 17, and strafes invisibly. Space is a salvo. The wind is compared to an invisible enemy in a military assault, with space acting as a weapon. This warlike imagery heightens the tension and conveys the intensity of the storm. Line 18, we are bombarded by the empty air. The storm's force comes from something intangible, air, emphasizing its eerie, surreal nature. This line captures the paradox of being attacked by something that cannot be seen. Line 19, strange, it is a huge nothing that we fear. The poem concludes with a reflection on the nature of fear. The huge nothing refers to the storm's intangible force, suggesting that fear often stems from the unknown or the unseen. This existential insight broadens the poem's scope, making it a meditation on human vulnerability and the power of perception.
About the poet. Seamus Heaney, born on April 13, 1939, in County Derry, Northern Ireland, was one of the most celebrated poets of the 20th century. Known for his rich, lyrical language and exploration of themes such as identity, nature, history, and human resilience, Heaney's work often drew inspiration from his rural upbringing. His first major collection, Death of a Naturalist, 1966, established him as a powerful new voice in poetry. Heaney's poetry is deeply rooted in Irish culture and history, often reflecting the tensions and complexities of life in Northern Ireland during the Troubles. Despite these political undertones, his work transcends local concerns, achieving universal resonance. Awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1995 for his works of lyrical beauty and ethical depth, Heaney's legacy continues to influence readers and writers worldwide. He passed away on August 30, 2013, leaving behind an enduring literary treasure.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.